been to some of those meetings before.
All right, listen to every one of them. Whew,
Oh, God.
just,
Better shut my mouth, though.
yeah.
Okay, we're ready to go. Yep. All right,
I'll
everyone.
call this meeting of the Plan Commission, the June 22nd meeting, to order and make the initial announcement that our leader and outstanding mayor is not here. He's got other business. First is roll call, please.
Wayne Clark,
Yes.
Kathleen Degenhart,
Yes?
Jessica Katzenmeyer,
Here.
Brian Frank,
Here.
Ben Holt is excused, Rossi Manka,
Here.
Eric Torkelson,
Here.
and David Roshka is excused, and Mayor Devine is excused as well.
And we have a quorum, thank you. So under new and previous matters, we have the approval of the May 25th, 2022 draft minutes.
I'll move for approval.
Motion made.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Under new and previous matters, the first item we'll take up is the supplemental 22-0356, which is the revised site landscaping and architectural plans for the DECO, a proposed event space to be located at 7140 West Greenfield Avenue, submitted by Rich Pipka, doing business as the DECO, tax key number 440-331-0000.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
This item was before us in April for Plan Commission and then subsequently approved by the council as it required a special use for the event space. And that council approval happened in May. So the architect has submitted a revised plan. This is the plan that was approved at the April Plan Commission, which proposed a porcelain tile overlay on the second floor, over the second floor windows. This building was constructed in 1936 as a J.C. Penney, and then over the years changed hands into different uses. But it's coming back online now as a event space. And on the second floor, those porcelain tiles were the original option, and they've subsequently come back after removing the aggregate that used to be over the top of the brick. This is the current picture. They did some exploratory demolition, removed that aggregate, uncovered the brick underneath that second floor, and lo and behold, there's windows and as well as brick. And then the brick was in rough shape, and there was some glue and some other lime, some adhesive on that brick. However, the mason has taken a closer look at it, and they've started to, they believe they can restore the brick at least to a condition where it's more presentable, smoother, like as closer to original, and then they would repaint, first tuck point each brick, and then repaint and seal the brick with a new iron ore color by Sherwin-Williams. So that's the latest plan that would be taking place on the second floor. All of the rest of the building that was approved previously with the additional windows and canopy updates and signage are the same. It's really just that second floor brick restoration and painting of that brick. There's going to be gold accents in some panels that were covered under that old aggregate siding. And then there's some additional panels up above that are hard to see in this rendering, but those will also remain. They'll just be painted over. So the applicant's very excited that this is, to bring this before the Planning Commission and present this. He was here a little bit earlier. He had to leave for an appointment. He has some contractors coming over to take a look at this building. And but staff is recommending approval, and we really have no conditions of the approval. It's just that we'd like to offer the contractor, the owner in this case, the option of flexibility of either option A, which was approved back in April, or B, which is, I guess in this case, the preferred method by the owner to restore the brick.
And you support both options?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Anything would change or anything with the building or anything like that? Just basically,
Yeah, it's really kind of bringing it back to the way it was built in 1936 with a painted brick versus an actual just lighter color brick, we
Yeah.
assume it was, yeah.
which was gonna be an overlay instead,
Right.
but they can't overlay because the bricks are too bad, but you can restore the bricks, paint it over.
They were thinking, when they took that aggregate siding off the building, they were thinking that the brick was gonna be so bad that they were gonna have to come up with some kind of covering
Gotcha.
over the top of it. And after removing that aggregate siding, they decided, you know what,
We can-
we'd like
they
to
can
have the
fix it.
flexibility to restore the brick if at all possible. So that's the,
And it is possible.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
It will cost more money, but it's possible, yeah.
So, question, so if by restoring the brick, does that lengthen the life of the brick? Or are they gonna still have to eventually?
So I mean, any damaged brick would have to be, tended to, and then, they're proposing to seal it. They're gonna tuck point, and brick by brick, they're gonna go through that building and redo the whole thing. So it'll really reinforce and, fortify the brick on the building.
Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And you will stay on top of this
Thank you, yes.
and monitor both options.
Monitoring, yes.
Thank you. Next is the certified survey map number, this is item number 3, to combine the existing parcels located at 80.
We're actually on item number 2 now.
All right, thank you. That's why you're here, Zach. Thank you for your guidance. We'll go to number 2. Site landscaping and architectural plans for Dollar General and existing general retail use located at 1715 South 76th Street, submitted by Ben Voigtlander, doing business as Carl LLC, tax key number 45304330002.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a little background on this site. This is located at 1715 South 76th Street on the corner of National and 76th. It's a multi-tenant commercial building where Dollar General is the principal tenant. The property is zoned C2. Some background on this particular project. Back in 2021, I believe there was a citation issued for falling brick on the rear facade that faces 77th Street. After some confusion with our code enforcement department, the owner began installing metal siding without a building permit. The staff noticed this this issue as it was being installed and called for a stop. The property owner then applied for a plan amendment as recommended by the staff. It was denied by Plan Commission in June 2021. In the years since then, the property owner has explored removing the siding but did not do so. Now too much time has passed for an appeal of the original decision, so we have to bring it back before Plan Commission again. Here's just some pictures showing the condition of the brick. This is the siding they were installing. This is I guess the wood that was what the siding was being installed to. And then here's some of that brick. You can see it's in pretty rough shape. The property owner is proposing to install the metal siding along the entire side. They considered some other options, including repairing the brick or installing a new type of thin brick. And they've ultimately elected or decided to move forward with the metal siding as they believe is the most affordable option. Staff is recommending denial and removal of the siding. This is because for two main reasons. First, code enforcement has determined that this installation is not to our code. The wood cannot be installed that close to the property line as a flammable material, and the anchorings aren't installed correctly, as it has to be kind of made through the brick, not just to the edge of the brick. Planning also does not recommends denial because it does not meet the city's adopted architectural guidelines, which state that plain metal siding is not an acceptable building material in commercial areas. If the Planning Commission were to deny this tonight, the next step would be that the applicant would have to appeal the decision to our common council. With that, is there any questions? Or
A motion to deny?
I'll make the motion. What's
We
that?
we do have representatives here, I believe, for the ownership, and if
Just a moment. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
And now we're open for discussion. I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, if, Ben, if you wanted to address the plan commission at all.
I did ask if I needed a permit for the siding with Lisa Franzen before I started, and she said it did not need one, so I purchased $6,000 worth of materials and installed them. So I did ask for permission, and I did ask if I needed a permit to start the siding, so I think I did my part to, I did ask. So I didn't, it's not like I just put it on the building without asking, so I wanted to do the right thing and ask, and she said it did not. That's why it was 3/4 of the way done before we were told to stop. And it is on the back of the building. It's not on 76. It's not on National. It is the back of the building, so it's on a dead end street. So it's not a visible, driving by 76 or driving by National. The last building was on a main street. This is on the back of the building on the side. So the option, this was a $10,000 option for install versus 40, 50, 60,000. So money played a factor there. Since we had to shut down all the video stores, we have 700 properties where half of them are empty, so we don't have a lot of income right now. So that's kind of why we went with that route. Metal siding, the paint has a 50-year warranty, so we're good for minimum 50 years. And as far as like attachment point, there was 5-inch anchors through the brick, so it actually is through the brick into the block already, which is what Shelley was asking for. So the attachment is there. I understand the wood part. They do make a wood coating. You can paint it on and get a 2-hour fire or a 2-hour fire rating to make it, fire rating. But it's on the street, so I get your code with the wood, which can be addressed.
And who did you get approval from
For
when you said you asked about?
Lisa Franzen, I have emails. It's on when I applied for the planning commission.
Lisa Franzen was a former.
No, she's still here,
here.
yeah.
Lisa Franzen's a member of our code enforcement department, and he had asked about whether they needed a building permit, and she misinformed him that he did not need a building permit when he did. And in addition to building permits, when you make exterior changes, you also need site landscaping and architectural plan approval. So there was.
So I was not aware of any of that.
Yeah, but those were both of the necessary steps to do so.
$6,000 out of my pocket that's on the wall that I have not been paid for or can't get paid for until the job is finished.
Steve and Zach, the fact that the applicant was misinformed, really badly misinformed and sent down the wrong path, does that weigh at all in your decision? Your recommendation, rather?
It does. It's unfortunate, but I mean, I guess at the end of the day, I mean, it is a side street. However, we always talk about four-sided architecture, and if you happen to live on 77th Street,
Everybody said they loved it. Everybody came by.
I guess I don't live there, but yeah.
Everybody said they loved it. I said, thank goodness.
All right.
I have a question.
Even the guy with the green and gold Packer house, he liked it.
Go ahead, please.
Does it have to be wood? Couldn't it be like
could be
some
metal,
like some
yeah.
C channels or something in there?
It could be changed to a metal strut, yep.
Would that make a difference then if we changed it to a metal strut? Like that? I mean, you'd have to do the whole thing
Yeah.
and
Yeah, that's
change
not a
everything
problem.
underneath?
Like, yeah, the furring strip would have to be addressed from the code perspective. I guess, that's probably, an easier fix. The bigger question is, he's obviously made some moves here that, good faith, he asked and he got an answer. Unfortunately, it was the wrong answer, and so he went ahead and did something, thinking he was doing it right, but
If they would have stopped me, like,
yeah.
after I had one panel on, who cares? I could have returned it all to Menards and got my money back, But I mean, once it's all on, it's hard you can't return the items.
Yeah.
Once there's holes in certain places, you can't really use it in other
Right.
places.
There is other siding on the building. You'll notice up above on the, there's a fascia material along part of the roof line, and then, that was done for
The 3-foot
a
strip
while
has been
ago.
up there for
Yeah, that was
15 years.
as long as
They're
Family
just
Video was
extending
there.
it down
Yeah.
with the same material.
I think the question just comes back to, though, is metal an appropriate material? Aside from the fact that an unfortunate, incident happened here with misinformation, is metal the right material long term? It certainly sounds like it'll last for 50 years, but is that what you want to look at for 50 years? And should we be advocating for something different? I mean, staff is advocating for something different other than metal siding. Ideally, the best case scenario would be to restore the brick, whether it's, tuck pointing and then, removing or replacing or sealing somehow those damaged bricks that you see in the picture there. Those are some of them. It is a long facade, and but staff feels that the brick should be addressed itself rather than covering it. I'm not sure why the brick is popping off the way it is. I mean, there are some trees along the 77th Street, and then there's, you've got the roof that's sort of a barrel type of roof, and then I don't know if there's any catchment or gutters on the edge there, but water over time probably runs down the side of the building and then pops the brick, and it's
Follows
just,
the shape of the tree. It's the weirdest thing.
Okay.
Like if
Yeah.
you Google map it, you can see where the brick is all popping off. It's like the shape of the tree. So what happens is, you get the condensation of moisture that builds on the block, and then the sun goes down and it doesn't dry because the sun will warm up that brick, but it doesn't warm it up behind the trees. So when it gets cold and freezes, it just pops off parts of the brick. So
okay.
So is that over the whole wall then?
the
Or just
tree-
by the tree?
It's the weirdest thing. Like there's like 4 trees, and it's usually the worst spots are where the 4 trees are, and that's where it would all fall off onto the concrete. It's the craziest
But how
thing
do-
that you would not think of it, but
How do we, so we're more or less covering it, not fixing it?
correct. Yep, fixing it was a $60,000 option. So repairing was 10,000.
So is there still gonna be then moisture and water then going through there, still
Nope,
popping those
it's-
bricks off?
I pressure washed and sealed it before I covered it. So now that it's covered, you won't have the condensation from like the sun warms up a brick and then it cools. You get the hot and cold condensation moisture. So behind it, it's actually not gonna be exposed to that direct moisture, like your dew on your car or the dew on a roof. Like this is behind the brick, so it'll be insulated from like the sun, the wind, the weather, the hot and colds.
How thick are those fairing strips?
3/4. Because that gives you your air, like a little
Right,
air pocket,
right.
little air buffer between there.
Yeah, right, that's what I was,
Steve, if you were to pose this issue with the city attorney relative to the city's liability for misinformation, what would the city attorney say?
I don't know, but I mean, I can't speak for him, but I don't believe that, just because you get the wrong answer from inspector, I guess in this case, we hope that doesn't continue, but I mean, I don't think the city is, what's the word? Liable or
Responsible.
responsible. I mean, if you need a permit to do the work, you need a permit to do the work. I mean, the code is the code. Unfortunately, we had a person that, gave the wrong information in this case to the owner, who proceeded with the project.
Okay.
So, they certainly have recourse to go before the Common Council and seek the council's decision. And that's what we're advocating for in this case, is that we're suggesting, we're recommending denial of the metal siding and, remove the metal siding. Of course, though, they have the opportunity to go before city council and state their case and make their presentation.
Thank you. We have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor of denial?
aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion is denied, thank you. And you understand that you have an opportunity to go before the city council?
Yeah, if that's my best option. It just, I can eat my labor, my time. I'm a single, I own a business, it's just me. So I mean, to have $6,000 out of my bank account for a year is not fun,
No.
So that's what hurts me the most, Like labor, it is what it is. My time is my time. If I lose that, that's fine. I mean, when you have to take money out of savings to pay for something and you can't recoup it, that's the hardest part.
Understand, thank you. The next item is item 3, the certified survey map to combine the existing parcels located at 8404 West Greenfield Avenue and 1359 South 84th Street into one parcel.
Thank you, Wayne. We're recommending approval of this consolidation. It went before Plan Commission in February for not only a rezoning of this 1359 South 84th Street property, but for a special use to construct a new gas station convenience store. This is the certified survey map, which would take these two lots and combine them into one lot. And then we have some other pictures here of the future plan for a gas station and convenience store, State Fair Petro at the corner. This is where the single-family home is now, and this is where the SF Analyzers building is. And two lots would be combined, and then the building would be constructed for this gas and convenience store. So tonight's agenda item is literally just the combination of lots. I kind of went into a
Relative to the
recap.
combination of the two
Yeah.
lots, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll move on to number 4. Site landscaping and architectural plan amendment for Cleveland Liquor, an existing liquor store located at 9131 West Cleveland Avenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Cleveland Liquor was purchased by a new owner. For years, it was a small little convenience store owned by Mr. Sarandos, and Mr. Sarandos sold it to Mr. Hamant, and Mr. Hamant is open for business right now. However, he's made some changes to the exterior of the building. Earlier this year, he received approval from the Plan Commission to install this accessible staircase, and then it's this accessible ramp which wraps around the side of the building over here. And there we go. That's what that ramp looks like along, this is 92nd Street, and Frank Lloyd Wright Playground School track is over here. It's the front of the building from Cleveland Avenue. There is a little bit of a parking lot out in front of the building, a lot of which is in city right-of-way. We'll get to that in a little bit. But that's basically the gist of the ramp that was approved by Planning Commission. Since that time, there have been some changes to the building. He's repainted the building, freshened it up. He's doing some things there. And then he added some metal siding on the exterior of the building and a new sign. So there's some changes that are going on that don't necessarily have the City Plan Commission or city's approval yet, that he's gone ahead and done. So we wanted to bring that to light, and so we notified him and told him that he needs to get a permit and apply for Planning Commission review and signage permits and so on. So he's done that. He's been working with us, and he would like to seek approval of the corrugated metal siding on the northwest corner of this building. There was the area behind this. The floor plan shows that there's a walk-in cooler, a beer cave. That's what's on the inside of the building. On the outside, there wasn't, at least even in the previous building under the previous owner, there wasn't a window there for many years. So it's literally just covering some other fiber wood type of cement underneath that. And it is slightly inset into the building, so it does appear that maybe there was a window there many years ago, but for decades it's been covered with another type of siding underneath. What Hamant has done is just literally just put two layers of metal corrugated siding over the top of it. One of the seam, so it apparently wasn't long enough to cover the whole expanse here, so one covers about up to here, and then the other one is behind that, which takes up the remainder. The problem with that is that rainwater over time is probably going to get down, between the two layers, and you don't want to go there. So we're asking for him to remove the metal corrugated siding, and if Plan Commission so desires for it to be replaced, that it be relayered on the exterior of the building with the the lower level underlayment first, and then the top portion over the top of that. Additionally, if the metal siding is to remain, planning staff is just suggesting some kind of framing around it, just to maybe just help blend it in a little bit more with the new storefront windows that he's added here. They feature a bronze aluminum frame around the exterior of the new windows and doors, and something like that could be maybe carried either fully around that metal siding or maybe just on the top top and bottom, just to sort of maybe frame it and give it a little more of a showcasing feature than just kind of screwed in, but that's our recommendation. Additionally, the signage on the building is new. It's been added. It's a cabinet sign. He needs a sign permit for that. He's applied for the signage permit. It does meet the area requirements, but it is relatively a flat sign, and we want to avoid flat signs in the city. We're looking for more articulation and so on, in terms of whether it be individual letter signs or unique shapes or offsets, rather than just the typical box sign. It's what
Since
it is.
the applicant got such a head start on things.
Yeah.
You reined him in.
Yeah.
Is he being cooperative?
Yes, but he's seeking, he is, but he's also looking for direction from the Planning Commission. And I think there is a way to, we can work with him on the signage. The signage is something that we can administratively work with him at Planning Commission level. And if he doesn't agree with us, with our recommendation, he can always come back to the City Planning Commission for an appeal on the signage. But what we really need to know, I guess, and what the owner wants to know is if the metal siding is something that the Planning Commission wants to allow or not. And if so, we would recommend that some other, additional framing be applied maybe around at the header or maybe around the sides of the outer perimeter of the corrugated metal.
You mentioned that the flat sign can be handled. How are you gonna do that so we don't have a flat sign?
Well, he wants to put another one on the west side of the building too, so we've said, no, you can't do that. So he's gonna have to work with us to show us some changes to his proposal for the west side. On the north elevation, the one that's up there right now, what I would recommend is that he revise the sign so that it has some kind of relief to it. It is a box sign, so there's about a 4-inch depth to it, but he's talking about adding lighting, and I don't know the style of lighting he's proposing yet, but there could be the possibility that if he were to put up some kind of like gooseneck style lights, perhaps maybe over the top of the sign, just to maybe help it accent a little bit more, maybe with some, along that line, that could help. Additionally, I guess I'm gonna lean on him a little bit for some ideas too. Yes.
Yes, Steve, I just had a question. So in terms of the metal siding, so how is this like different than what we just denied, I guess, like, in our previous
Sure.
meeting?
I think the big difference is that, the big difference here is that metal siding here, if you look at the building back in August of 2019, 2021, as recent as 2021, it's just a fiber cement wood siding here. That's, it's covered that, it's been that way for decades. I'm not sure how long, if it goes back to the original building or not, but all he's really doing, it'd be no different than just putting a new wood siding over the top of it. So if the difference comes in when you have a brick building and, something that's, we feel is definitely a higher quality, more durable material, and then you cover brick with vinyl siding or metal siding or something of less, I guess, quality, I think that's the issue we have here.
In my opinion, I think it looks tacky.
Thank
I
you.
don't like it. It's distasteful, and I think they need to find something that's closer to the color that they painted it,
Okay,
in my opinion.
sure.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yeah, it's just like,
Yep.
okay, let's put a Band-Aid on it and just,
Or just put it there?
yeah.
It's the same
it
thing as
looks
the
odd.
last,
The simplest thing to do for him to do would be just to remove the metal siding. In that case, if you don't like the metal siding, the simplest thing would just be remove the metal siding, go back to the fiber cement, or whatever this is underneath here, fiber board. They call it something else, but, and just paint it the same color as the rest of the building.
yeah.
Yep. would
I was
agree.
gonna say that metal
Yeah.
siding just looks just out of place compared to what the rest of the building
And then,
looks like.
and framing it probably wouldn't help either.
Yeah, it just, to
So
me,
we
it
have
doesn't look
one
good.
very loud tacky.
Yes, yes.
I would agree with the tacky, though, I would.
I would
Others
be
seem to be joining that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we just send this back to you folks and the applicant to get together and work this out?
Sure.
Come back to us with a plan.
Yeah.
Would that
Well,
be
I guess,
I think denial maybe would be the,
yeah,
A denial?
I think denial would probably be the better option
Sure.
for you.
a question? Would that be a motion to table it for now until the
well,
plan comes back out?
Zach, you're recommending we motion to deny.
you don't like the metal siding, and you don't think the framing's gonna help.
So
So
I think deny.
You're
Yeah.
just framing,
you say deny the metal siding.
Yes. I think that's a better option.
yeah.
So he takes off the metal siding. Deny metal siding, take off the metal siding.
Yes.
And
And then he's just gonna paint. So I mean, it
Or
doesn't necessarily need
whatever,
to come
whatever,
back to planning commission.
flush it back to
Right.
the way the building is right now, or around that thing.
Okay.
Make it one, even if it's the fiber, the wood fiber board or whatever it is,
Yeah,
it's gonna look better.
I
I
think.
mean, you have that, first you have the sign and then you have the metal.
Yeah.
I don't think that fits.
I'll move,
Even with just in West Dallas, what we're trying to do here.
Go ahead, please.
I'll move to deny the metal siding.
Second?
Or deny the application, right? The whole item?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
encompasses.
Or deny the whole
is-
application?
The application is, I believe, just for the metal siding.
Metal
The signage,
siding.
he mentioned the signage, but it's separately. We're
Okay.
handling
We
that
can-
internally.
we
I thought we
come
were
back
taking
and
up the
deal with that.
side, the
This is just,
side and the.
just the siding.
Yeah, just the
Okay.
metal siding.
I will move to deny that then.
Okay. One other thing, and this sort of gets into the future. So this graphic here shows that the city owns, here's the property owner, or the property boundary, the 9131. It's unique in that it's set back about 20 feet from 92nd Street, and I forget the distance here, but probably about 30, let's just say 30 feet from Cleveland Avenue. I think it's in the staff report. But why it was designed this way, we don't know. I mean, our guess is that perhaps once upon a time, there's maybe one of those high-speed right turning lanes proposed maybe at one point in time at 92nd and Cleveland. It never happened. We would advocate that this land area, which is city public right-of-way, be vacated, and in which case it would then become under the ownership of this property owner, and then taxable. And it would require, I mean, and we can go ahead and do that. We could start that process, but we would seek a sponsor from, the Common Council or a committee of the Common Council to do so. Otherwise,
Well, why don't you do that? Seek a sponsor and
we will.
move that
We will,
forward.
because we don't think the owner himself is going to come forward and ask for or request it. So I think it would require, if the city does want to vacate this and make this land area taxable, we would seek a sponsor from the council. So you can see that the trend also affects other properties here along Cleveland Avenue. So it's not just this Cleveland Avenue property that we're talking about at the corner, but also two duplexes just to the east. Again, not really sure the history of this or why, but this land area here could be.
So is this something
Put
we're
on the
gonna be
tax
doing
rolls.
like in the future?
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
kinda bring it up
if we get the
just for the-
sponsor, what we would do is bring a resolution forward to the Common Council, and then obviously notify property owners and abutting property owners of what's happening here. It would represent some more land area for each of these property owners, which is, I think, a plus. But then it's also considered more maintenance for those property owners, as well as some additional taxes. But we don't have a public purpose for this land area, so why are we hanging on to it?
Well,
That's my
since we
philosophy.
can't deal with
Yeah.
it tonight, and
Yeah.
this makes sense, why don't you go ahead and take care of that? We'll take care
Sure.
of what's before us, which is a motion and a second to deny.
Got it.
Any further discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to deny is accepted. Thank you very much. Number
Okay.
5, ordinance to amend section 19.01, the official West Dallas zoning map for property located at 1455 South 97th Street. Zach?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So an overview of this site. This is Greenfield Avenue Presbyterian Church. This is located at 1455 South 97th Street, just south of Greenfield Avenue. It's currently zoned RB, and our future land use map has it identified as a public and semi-public use. Right now, Maple Grove Treatment Center is a tenant of this property. They provide services for people with autism spectrum disorders, like counseling, practicing daily life skills, independent living support, and services for employment in college. They're proposing to buy the property from the church and lease it back to the church for weekend services. And with this, they would become the principal tenant of the building. However, they would not be allowed in RB as a principal use. A church is allowed in the residential districts as a principal use, but this treatment center would not be allowed. So with that, the applicant is proposing a rezoning to C2, the commercial district that is immediately adjacent to the north along the Greenfield Avenue corridor. This proposed rezoning is sponsored by Alderperson Keene and co-sponsored by Alderwoman Grisham. In this rezoning, the use would be considered a permitted use. Staff recommends approval of the proposed rezoning. This conforms with the future land use map that public, semi-public uses, essentially that can be really under any zoning district, so that's consistent with that land use map. We also believe this is a logical change. This neighbors the commercial corridor. It's near the interstate. It has historically kind of functioned as this somewhat commercial use as this church with bringing some traffic into the neighborhood. And a key element of this as well is that the property would become taxable with the ownership change, as Maple Grove Treatment Center is a for-profit.
You make a good case. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion? No discussion. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Number 6, signage plan appeal for a new freestanding sign at El Toro located at 8322 West Lincoln Avenue. Steve?
Thank you. This is the old Boy Blue property, which is now Taqueria del El Toro, and they've made quite a bit of changes in alignment with their approved plan. Yep, thank you. We have the representatives here, Gabrielle, of the ownership, and what they're seeking approval for tonight is an appeal of this freestanding sign. So they've done quite a bit of work here, fixing up the building and then installing this landscape area here. I guess we've got a couple pictures where you can see the work. It's under construction. But this is where the landscaping is going to go, and then also a freestanding sign in this location. Now, it's going to be located within 20 feet of the intersection. So what I mean by that is that from this point on the property line, 20 feet this way, and then if you connect the dots, the sign is located within that 20 by 20 area. So what staff is recommending is that, and what the applicant is seeking approval of is an appeal for the sign within that 20 by 20 area. And what staff would suggest is, and one of which they've already done, they're going to locate this sign in a 45-degree angle. So, and then they're closing this driveway approach here as part of their plan. So they'll be closing this. That'll eliminate in and out traffic here, and then all traffic would come in and out here or here. And then with the sign being located at a 45-degree angle, that's going to improve the visibility if you're stopped here at the intersection. It's not going to impede your vision to see someone walking on the sidewalk here or other cars going north or southbound on 84th or east or west on Lincoln Avenue. So we don't feel that this is going to be a problem. However, there's one thing that engineering did suggest is to move this sign further back in this landscape bed so that it'd be closer to the rear of this curbed area back here, and that will further improve visibility. So with that, we recommend approval, and they are working hard out there, and the next step is that they're going to be installing the sign, closing the driveway, and then also putting in landscaping.
When did we have this sign before us? You said.
The sign, this is the first time we've seen the sign.
So what are they appealing?
What they're appealing is the actual location, because the location is
Did
going to
we
be
deny
within
it?
20. No, they never proposed a sign before.
It's within the code. Signs cannot be within a certain location.
Right.
So this
Yeah.
sign technically does not meet our sign code. However,
We would have approved if the sign, if this vision angle thing didn't exist, if the sign was like, say, back here or somewhere out of the vision angle, we would have approved it at staff level. It could be approved administratively, but because it's in this 20 by 20 vision area, we have to bring it before Plan Commission to get your way in.
And does the applicant agree in moving that sign back to meet what the engineering department is requesting?
Gabrielle? Yep. Yes.
Yeah.
By how much?
Well, I mean, I think, so somewhere back in this area here is what our engineering department suggested. It's hard to see, but
Scoot over, see.
yeah, come
it's
on
a
over.
tough angle back there.
You gotta get here earlier to get the good seats.
Somewhere back in this area.
They didn't the engineering department didn't specify a specific distance it needed to be, but just kind of as close to the back line as can be made, you know.
Yeah,
feasible.
somewhere in here.
As far back as it works.
Alright.
Yep.
Okay.
You're the owner?
My dad is.
Your dad is
Yes,
fine.
my mom and my dad.
Well, what a nice improvement for this corner.
Yes.
It's been languishing for a long time, and it looks exciting.
Yeah, I went to Central, so I would always pass and it was always abandoned.
Yep.
Well, we wish you well.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have a motion of some sort here.
Yeah.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion to approve and a second?
Under the recommendation that they move it farther back.
Yeah.
The back, yeah.
Correct on that? Okay.
Our recommendation does include that, and, you
Okay.
know, so, yeah.
Did you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you give an actual dimension yet?
No,
You just said move it further back.
Yeah, well, that's something that we can work
Okay.
on between
Yeah.
staff and them.
Butt
It's
in,
just-
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no problem.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a motion, and a second, any discussion? Any more discussion, I should say? There being none, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Good luck with your project.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
And then discussion relative regarding eliminating split zoned properties.
Thank you.
Who's leading that, Zach?
I am, yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an update. At our last meeting, we introduced our next, kind of one of our next projects here to eliminate our split zoning in the city. The first two batches of those two corridors, West Beecher Street and West National Avenue, we're going to be proceeding with first. These are in total 187 properties that we will be rezoning. On yesterday, we sent the mailer to the impacted property owners and regarding a public information meeting that we're going to be holding here in kind of an open house style where people can come in and ask questions, and we'll have like maps out and they can take a look at what the rezonings would be. That's going to be July 6th. Then our plan would be to bring the rezonings before the Planning Commission on July 27th for your recommendation, and then be on the August 2nd Common Council meeting. So we just wanted to give you a brief update on how that project is progressing.
Any discussion? Thank you, Zach. On to the last item, which is item number 8, Plan Commission project tracking update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I can take this one.
The most exciting thing you do.
Yes, so following, we had a lot of activity in the last month. One of the most exciting ones, the Oak Brewing Company opened. This happened earlier this month. They had some fanfare there. You may have seen some articles, I think, in some local publications about that. I highly recommend their sour beer, very good. St. Paul's Playground was also a 2021 Planning Commission item. The demolition permit was approved. This picture is St. Paul's right here. Their very minuscule, very sad alley playground is right there. And then these are the duplexes they own that they will be tearing down in order to create that new amenity for their students. So that demolition permit was approved, and then there would be another building permit to come in the coming months. From January 2022, the Ethiopian Coffee Shop at just nearby at 77th and Greenfield, their building permit was approved to do some small construction work associated with that project. Some April 2022 items, the deco, as we mentioned earlier in this meeting, the facade removal is nearly complete, and then they'll be continuing on with their construction, putting in windows and starting the repair of their brick once they get that permit. The Urban Pioneers conditional use permit was approved by Common Council at the previous Common Council meeting. This one, we do not have any further updates on that one, and we'll continue to keep you posted as that one if that one continues to progress. And then lastly, the Taco John's they also had their conditional use permit approved by common council at the same meeting. We expect a building permit from them, building permit application from them in the next month or so, I would say. And then I guess, yeah, that's
Any-
pretty much wraps it
Any,
up.
pardon me? Yeah.
That wraps it up.
Any-
So any-
Any
anything else?
discussion or comments? Thank you, Zach, and Steve and Zach, thank you for your leadership tonight, as well as my colleagues for your active involvement. And with that being said, and nothing else coming before us, we're adjourned.
So we have to make a
We
motion
need a
to
motion
adjourn?
for that. We need a motion for that.
I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second, and those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
I guess we're adjourned.